Alrighty, y'all. We have this word problem. It is a distance, rate, time word problem. I'm going to read it really quick. It says Sal can travel 40 miles on his motorbike in the same time it takes Marv to travel 15. If Marv rides his bike 20 miles per hour slower than Sal, find the speed for each bike. Okay, so the first thing I see here, it says in the same time. That tells me that the time it takes Sal, so I'm going to put like the time and then a little S for Sal, is equal to the time it takes Marv to ride these two different bikes. So that is really, really important. And then they're telling me something about the miles. This miles is our distance, and it's asking me for speed, which is another way to say rate. So I'm like, oh, I have an equation. Distance is equal to rate times time. That is the only equation you need to memorize because you can manipulate it to get what you want. I want to find the time formula, so I'm going to divide each side by r. So time is equal to distance over rate. Again, if you like to put s for speed instead of rate, you can. I grew up this way, so I'm going to stay with rate. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to piece together all the information they told us. So it says Sal can travel that 40 miles. That is the distance for Sal. So I'm going to say the distance for Sal is 40. And then it says Marv can travel the same time in 15. So I'm going to say the distance for Marv is 15. If Marv rides his bike 20 miles per hour slower than Sal, I'm like, hey, do I know Sal's rate? I'm like, nope. So let's let that equal x. So the rate for Sal is equal to x. And if Marv rides slower, I'm going to subtract 20 from his rate. So think about like miles per hour, like a speed limit signs. If you're going slower, you're going to be at a lower rate. So for Marv, it's equal to x minus 20. I have all of my pieces. I'm just going to now input them into this formula. So rewriting time, I remember time is equal to distance over rate. So I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be 40 over my rate for Sal, which was x. And I'm setting that equal to, now I'm using the distance for Marv over Marv's rate, x minus 20. At this point, we're like, oh, we know how to solve this cross multiply, but first, make sure you set your restrictions. Here, x cannot equal 0 and a positive 20. Let me move this a little bit so you guys can see. And then from there, all I need to do is go ahead and solve. I am cross multiplying, so I get 40. Do not forget those parentheses, is equal to 15x. Distribute. 40x minus 800 is equal to 15x. Subtract the 15x to both sides. Add the 800 to both sides. So I get 25x is equal to 800. Divide by 25. I think that gives us 32. Let me see. Make sure I don't tell you the wrong thing. Yes, okay. X is equal to 32. And I'm like, hey, let me check my restrictions. I'm like, oh, I'm good to go. So I'm boxing 32, and I need to include the units. So remember, when we're talking about word problems, we're going to talk about units. So it's asking me for his speed, and we're talking about miles here. So I'm going to say miles. We can assume it's probably per hour. We'll be more specific if we were to count off points on your test, but we're just going to put miles per hour. I don't know why I just wrote it like that. Usually you put MPH. I don't know. It's been a long day, y'all, but that is how you're going to solve these types of problems. Big takeaway here, you have to know this distance is equal to rate formula, and then just make sure that you're keeping all of your work organized to know which rates goes with which distances for each person. All right, there is your overview for this word problem. Okay, I need to figure out how to turn this off. Hold on. There we go. Bye, y'all.